Hi, everyone. Welcome to the moon forecast for the full moon in Pisces for September 20th. I'm Kendall Shahan, the Bohemian Tarot Girl. This is my co-host, Amy. Amy, give a shout out.
Hi, my name is Amy Amonette, and I am an intuitive energy coach and moon circle leader. And we're here to kind of talk about what's coming up with this full moon.
Yeah. How are you feeling with the energy?
um, this has been a really interesting week.
I'm with you
I'm not
there.
sure. I feel like the new moon that we had kind of set the stage to get a lot of things done, to get focused on our physical reality, to the new moon in Virgo that we had, to kind of like check off some of the things on our to-do list and really ground ourselves in like the physical aspect of things. But as we're getting closer and closer to this full moon that's happening on the 20th of this month, it's happening at 4:54 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so adjust that to wherever you are. I feel like that energy that's coming in the Pisces moon that's ruled by Neptune is really creating a lot of interesting kind of I don't want to say distortion, but I feel like there's kind of like this level of fog that's being put on things, and it's kind of like creating this sense of like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of shrouding all of this reality in
Yes.
this sense of like fluidity and fog and illusionment.
Mhm. 100%.
And it's making things a lot harder to like grasp what's real and what's not real and what the best course of action is. And so I think it's really good that we're getting together to talk about this, to kind of like hash out why that's happening and what it means and how you can use that to your benefit. Because I know this last week, it's like I had in my head, this Virgo-ness, like
Yeah.
my to-do lists, and I was going to get all of this stuff done. And every day something has popped up where it totally, made it where I had to like switch gears and abandon my list of things to do and like deal more with matters at hand,
Mhm.
uh, and kind of like readjust the course. um, and talking to the people, I mean, my friends, I never just look at this from just me. Like I'm always observing, well, how is this energy affecting this person? And
Mhm.
people come to me, my clients and things, and I'm always kind of like assessing, okay, so I'm not the only one experiencing this energy. Like it is a global energy that's happening.
Yep.
So we're all in this together. How have you been feeling?
I'm telling you that new moon, coming out of that new moon, that was just, I definitely went more into myself than I thought I would, I guess. I really just, I went out and I enjoyed myself a little bit, but it was a lot of just like, I felt like really like quiet, internal, um, and I reached out to you because at the beginning, I just felt like that super almost like panicky kind of feeling. And, I had reached out to you and you said you felt very similar. And, clearly there was a lot of like energy going on in the world. And then later, because of what things happened in the news, and I was like, that's totally what it was. It was just like this. I felt like, ahead, you can feel like everyone freaking out. And then you're like, oh, here's why.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about last time about how, um, it's kind of like, I mean, the analogy we gave last time was like being in a tornado and then you're finally like touched on the ground, but nothing in your surroundings looks familiar and you don't know where you are and you don't know where you're going. And that does have a certain level of anxiety that comes in with that because we are just in the beginning stages of this massive transformation that's been happening.
100%.
And it's does like there's a lot of anxiety on a very global level. It's we all feel it to some degree, and so if you're empathic at all, or if you're aware of other people's energies, you're probably picking up from them like their anxieties about things. And then there's also some planets that are involved. I'm thinking specifically Neptune is in Pisces right now,
Hmm.
and Neptune rules Pisces, and that has the effect of um kind of things being hidden and not clear, and maybe distorted a bit or secretive. And so it's really adding to this atmosphere of nobody really knows
Yeah.
what to expect in their personal lives. And on the collective level, when you have that many people feeling the same thing, it's like it feels like a lot, and
Oh,
kind of like on the verge of, okay, well, we've been through so much unexpected um kind of things to trigger anxiety, or to not feel necessarily like secure in your reality over the last couple of years, and it seems to be continuing to some extent, that that kind of like level of, okay, well, what's coming next? Like you can kind of sense something's coming at this point, but you don't really know what it is. And I think that when it's like that, and I think we're going to notice coming up with this moon, especially, it's really, really good to take the time to, number one, make sure that you are checking in with your own intuition and making sure that you are um, looking at what is right for you.
hmm.
Um, and two, trying to shield yourself as much as possible from outside influences that may be instigating fear or anxiety. Um, I had a friend many, many years ago, and I always remember this, is that she said, fear is false evidence appearing real. And
Hmm.
it's true. Like we create all of these what if situations in our mind, and that scares us because we can
Yeah.
sometimes jump to worst case scenario.
100%.
And it's not even actually happening. And I know lately, especially the last couple of months, because I have been feeling more energetically anxious, I have to ask myself, is this even mine? Um, or am I feeling it from other people?
Hmm.
And um, also, I have to remind myself that I am okay, that, that there is nothing actually happening in my world right now to cause these feelings of fear and anxiety, and to kind of like step back and get more bound into the present energy fields, ground myself a little bit, and kind of like settle that feeling down. Because your body, it has all of these chemical reactions that happen when you're feeling scared
100%.
or worried, or and so it's a normal response to like want to hide or want to flee or want to get angry.
Hmm.
And I think right now this moon happening in, so the full moon is happening in Pisces at 28 degrees. And that means that the sun is in Virgo, and then the moon is exactly opposite it on the astrology wheel, and it's happening in the same degrees at 28 degrees. And Pisces is a water sign, and it's also the 12th sign in the zodiac. And so it tends to be more ethereal, less grounded in the real world, because it's like, Aries is at, the bottom, and then Taurus, and it's like the step ladder up. I feel like that's how I think of Pisces, is like it's like the top before you reach the heavens. Like it's the closest one that connects you to the heavenly realms, so to speak. So Pisces, if you've known a Pisces, like they are all about love and romance and the fairy tale, and can be really good as, escape artists when it comes to dealing with their own realities and problems. Like, it can also, in its shadow side, be prone to, in regards to escapism, drug abuse, addiction, um, kind of just checking out or procrastinating and not dealing with things. And then you have Virgo on this opposite side that is all about being grounded in your reality, and what you see is what you get. And you have your checklist and your to do list and the order of things. And so you have these very two opposing energies that we're dealing with. And so it's going to be important to find some sort of middle ground right now where you can be present in your physical life and still be able to be discerning of the energies and intuitive and energetic stuff that's happening around you. Your emotional versus your physical, your intuitive versus your um, cognitive self. So um, it's definitely, I think that for some people this moon's going to feel really good, and for other people it might be a little challenging to find your footing in it. But I will say that the significance of this at happening at 28 degrees, as we've talked about before, each sign goes from 1 degree to 29 degrees, and then it'll switch signs. And so, happening at 28 degrees, we are having this moon at the very, very end of Pisces. And with Pisces being the very last sign of the zodiac, it is a moon that is meant for completing something and letting go of something that maybe you've been carrying. There could be some kind of realization in regards to your spirituality, or ending your karmic cycle that maybe you've been repeating constantly. It could even be tied to, if you believe in this, which I know we talked about, I do, like that we have several lives where we are learning and growing new information. And there may be some lifetimes where you have repeated kind of a similar situation over and over again. This could be like the culmination where that finally is something that you're ready to stop doing. Um, so there can be a lot of significance and healing and releasing and um, leveling up with this moon, but it could also bring some pretty dramatic shifts. And it can also potentially be not the most comfortable to sit in the moment, but it's ultimately to be like, I mean, you've outgrown these scenarios. If you're ready to let them go, it means that you are vibrating at a higher level. You've graduated, you're moving on to other things. And sometimes you have to clear out the old to create space for the new, which a lot of us have been doing.
Yes.
So
no, I completely agree with you with this kind of like the end of the cycle. And there might be, like you mentioned, anxiety with letting go of something that's you've been carrying around that's almost like a burden to you. And, you think about your fears, like in these things that you don't want as these horrible things, but we oftentimes cling to them. And so just being aware that when you are releasing and letting go of them and moving away from them, that it's okay to feel uncomfortable in it. And that is something that might come up. And so for the people that are recognizing this new kind of energy and this new stepping ground that they're coming into, don't backtrack. Keep yourself moving forward. Step into the ambiguity. I can't say it, ambiguity.
yes.
And just and face your fears. It's scary, but I always think that the universe has your back, and wants you to go, where you need to go. And the wheel of life is always turning. So even if one door closes, another one opens. So, just rely on the fact that, with that one step forward, even if you're fearful, there's still going to be a new beginning for you. So,
Mhm. And a lot of people have recently stepped into new beginnings too, or they're in the process of doing that. So it's I think that there's just some unsureness that's happening with how to progress forward.
yeah.
And so that's why it's really, really important to check in with yourself. I know I said that earlier, but um, if there's one tool that you can have is really paying attention to what your gut says right now, because there's so much distortion that's happening around you on so many levels. And people too, like we've said before, people see things through their own lens.
Yep.
um, and a lot of people right now are taking the information that's coming in, they're putting it through their own lens, and then they're projecting it out into the world, claiming that it's absolute truth. And I don't think there's absolute truth in anything right now. There's so many things that uh, we just don't have the ability to see at the moment. And maybe that's because we shouldn't be putting so much attention on those things.
Hmm.
um, I think that, if you go back to like the law of manifestation and quantum physics and stuff, we've talked about that before, but um, the rule of quantum physics is that sometimes things don't actually take any kind of form or concrete anything until you give it a thought. And so when you're working at manifesting, a lot of times, we always say you're creating your own reality. And
100%.
it's really like what you focus on is what you will find. And if you keep thinking that something's going to happen and something's going to happen, especially when you're feeling it out of fear, like you're almost creating that situation. And when you have a global scale of people who are,
Yep.
listening to the same information that may not be true, or are, you know, worried about the same sort of thing, it's almost like you're creating that vibration into the world. And so um, I really pay attention to where your thoughts are going. And if they're not going in a way that is feeling uplifting to you, or that is making you feel like you are vibrating on a high level, or that you are connected to your source or your intuition, like maybe take a step back and do some grounding and take some ownership over what your thoughts are doing and how that is affecting your life. um, a lot of this moon especially, there's some planetary aspects, and thinking of particularly Venus and Mars. They're in planets or in signs right now that aren't very friendly to them. There's some signs that planets go into and they're kind of uncomfortable in those signs because it's not necessarily an energetic match for them. Right now, Venus is in Scorpio, Mars is in Libra. That is like the furthest away they can be from their home sign. And both of those are very, Venus, it's all about love and partnerships and stuff like that. And it's in Scorpio, which it's not very comfortable in. And then you have Mars, which is about action, and it's in Libra. And Libras sometimes have a very hard time making any kind of action because they're weighing all the options and wanting to see both sides of everything. And so, but Libra is also about partnerships, but Mars is ruled by Aries, which is a very independent, action oriented sign. And so it's having this conflict of like your partners or the people in your life may be having some expectations of you right now. And this moon is coming in and it's being like, step away from that and pay attention to yourself and give yourself space and give yourself the room and time to check in with who you are and what you want and what your boundaries are and what's important to you. And so there can be some conflict with that. But I would say overall, this moon is so, so important to allow yourself to feel what you need to feel. and give yourself the time and space away from the outside noise of pretty much everything so that you can recognize what is yours and what isn't,
Yep.
and what you want and what other people want. You know, what it's hard, I think, especially if you're someone who um, tends to, I don't want to say be a people pleaser because I hate that term, but who who values your effect on other people, and who finds what am I trying to say, values your effect on other people, but also like pays attention to your own relationships, and you want to keep those relationships good. It's sometimes very hard to step away and be like, no, this is for me. And I think it's, I don't want to say be selfish right now, but be very aware of what is making you feel stronger in your vibration and what is making you feel weakened in your vibration. Um, and do what you need to do to keep your personal vibration and mental health and um, energy levels like at a good a good place. So
I'm with you there. It's hard right now, and you really just got to be true to yourself and look deep and keep yourself grounded, like Amy's saying. And, don't let the weight of the world weigh down on you.
yeah, and I don't want it to sound like it's all doom and gloom, because
No,
it definitely isn't. Like, this whole
no, there's some
process that we're going through has been so significant and so important, but we're in the thick of it right now, and so it's
yeah,
hard to see where it's going, and we're tired from going through what we've already been through. And so it's kind of like, you're in the middle of the marathon.
yeah,
And the landscape has changed a little bit and you're embarking on something new, but it's hard to tell. um it's hard to tell where it's all going, and we're just tired. I
yeah,
think so many people have said they just feel drained, they're tired, they're kind of sick of dealing with things. But it it does have an endpoint, and I think the things that we're experiencing now are giving us tools and insight, and um, the ability to recognize like our strengths, and ultimately like come into something that is way more meant for us than maybe where we were before.
yeah.
So, you got a card?
And with that, the 10 of Wands. And so
Yeah.
this is the one where the guy, is kind of schlepping things, right? And your goal is within sight, but there's all this hard work and responsibility and like all this sometimes like weighing down before you actually get to your goal. And it's a card that is super promising because it's telling you you're like on your way. It's just that there's these few pieces that you've got to kind of bring to fruition and move forward and keep shuffling on. And so just be aware that the goals within sight with this moon, there's positivity in that. And so don't let some of those, maybe responsibilities or burdens or some of this process that you maybe are trying to, the moon and the energy around is trying to push you through. Don't let that weigh you down. Keep your eye on the end goal that, there's an ending in sight.
Yeah, definitely. And there is a duality, I think, with all full moons. Um, and we focused a lot on like making sure that you're checking in and that you might want to escape. But there is a side where the Virgo can be really dominant with this moon, and you actually utilize your to-do list and your responsibilities, and to keep yourself distracted from feeling the things or connecting in the way that you should. It almost becomes like a blockage. Like, if I keep doing this, then I don't have to pay attention to how I'm feeling, or I don't have to. And so, again, it's really, really important to make sure that you are checking in with both sides of that duality within yourself, and recognizing it and honoring it, and appreciating it. with full moons, we tend to energetically work on releasing things. And I would say that this moon in particular is super, super important for releasing. And if you want to do any kind of physical ritual, because we are working within Virgo, which is an earth sign, um, you can write a list of what you're ready to let go of, what isn't serving you anymore. You can write it all out. You can burn it and mix the ashes with some salt if you want. Sprinkle that around in the yard, give it back to the earth. It just has a way of like releasing and then grounding. And it's just a good kind of physical manifestation of your thought process to
I
give
feel
it
like
some finality.
I feel like that is the perfect thing to do, quite honestly.
And then I was also a few months back, I recorded a guided meditation on how to recognize your own energy and clear your own energy from others and to ground a little bit more. And so if you feel so inclined, you can go. Is it still on your website?
It should be. If not, I'll double check and I'll post it with the link to the video. So
Okay, so there is a recorded guided meditation that'll take you through doing like some grounding, some clearing of your own personal aura, like removing energy that doesn't belong to you in a loving way, and then bringing your own energy back so that you're not so entwined with everything else that's going on. And it just can really help kind of settle you into your own physical and energetic form.
I like
So
it.
if you feel like you'd like to listen to that again, it would be the perfect moon to do so.
I like it. Well, thanks, Amy, for joining me today. I hope everyone has a great full moon. Don't let the energies kind of drag you down. Embrace this new change and enjoy it and release.
We'll see you in a couple more weeks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.